discuss industrial cybersecurity with Ralph Langner, who's the CEO of OT. Welcome.
Welcome, Sid.
We've spoken about this several times, and you're quite adamant about the fact that OT base is not just a cybersecurity product. It's not necessarily, but at the same time, it's certainly good for cybersecurity. So can you kind of elaborate on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we don't label it an OT security product for a couple of reasons. First of all, if you think about the use cases, it's foundational to cybersecurity in operations technology, and also for a couple of other use cases that are unrelated to cybersecurity, which are more in the engineering realm. But there are other reasons why we don't advertise it as an OT security product, because that space has been consumed with a bunch of other products and vendors who sell their products as OT security products, and we don't really fit into that bucket for a couple of reasons. First, we don't use fear, uncertainty, and doubt in our advertising, right? So we don't appeal to fears and threats, etc. We take more of an engineering approach. So we are talking fact-based, we are talking what you can measure, and that is something that doesn't go really well when you exaggerate the talk about threats and risk, which is what you see other companies doing in that space. And then certainly the predominant products in the OT security space are focusing on one aspect of OT security only, which is threat detection, which is totally outside of our wheelhouse. And since it has become like a synonym, when you see something about OT security, most people just relate that to threat detection automatically, which is not something that we do. So just for positioning ourselves properly in that market, we thought it wouldn't be a good idea to label OT base as an OT security product.
And I assume part of what you're referring to is the ICS detection product?
Yes, absolutely.
And
yes.
So do you compete with them? I would think you end up competing with them. So I think there's that functionality that does something like that.
No, we don't. So let me elaborate on that. First, we don't do anything in the detection space. So we don't do any deep packet inspection, anomaly detection. We just don't do that. If that is what an asset owner is looking for, we don't do it, and we refer them happily to the others in that space. No, we don't partner with them. But that's for a simple reason, because, as you know, everybody in that bucket claims to do all things for all people, including OT asset management, right? And that is not what we do. So we're a pure play OT asset management system. But coming back to the question of competition, I would say we have one direct competitor, and that is Microsoft Excel, because that is the de facto tool that everybody uses, no matter which company size, no matter which industry, to inventory their OT assets. So that is what our customers want to replace. And then certainly when you think about RFPs, we do see other companies from the ICS detection space, because they also claim to do OT asset management. But then if the customer is really serious about a solid OT asset management capability, usually we win the deal, because that is what we do best, and that's what all we do actually.
What kind of customers do that? You mentioned something about customers.
Yeah, I think it ties very well into the discussion about competition and the market space, because let me start with a negative. We don't cater to the critical infrastructure. And as you know, all the other players, well, we protect civilization, et cetera, and the critical infrastructure. We don't do that. We don't go after the critical infrastructure. No, we don't. We are much more catering to manufacturing and oil and gas, and that has to do with a couple of things. Most of it has to do with the fact that we cater to very large enterprises. So we do asset management at scale, like when you are operating thousands of networks, hundreds of thousands of devices, right? So this is where we fit in, and this is a scenario that you usually find with the global players in manufacturing and oil and gas, and not necessarily in the municipal water utilities, right?
And your product, it supports, I use the and large oil and gas companies, all of their operations are fleets. In your product, you have a way to roll up all that information.
Yes, so that is correct. And maybe if you look at the technology side of things, something that's very important, there is only one global database that the customer runs in their data center. So it's an on-premise solution. Every asset information ends up in one database, so that they can use that information globally. They have the full visibility over their global fleet, and that if you think about oil and gas, that might extend to several thousand locations, oil wells, etc.
You know, in your comments before, you kind of very modestly kind of framed that, you know, it's not as glamorous as some of the ICS detection type things that people talk about.
Yeah.
So it's a rather mundane thing. I'll use that term. But is asset management really mundane? I mean, I think it would be a very important thing. It's up to a foundation.
Well, yeah, I would agree that it's important and foundational, but it's mundane. So it doesn't necessarily get you excited, right? And as compared to, the latest threat actor, the Iranians, the Russians, the Chinese, everybody likes to penetrate your networks and defenses. That is not our business. That is not how we try to persuade customers. So we focus on simple facts, and maybe the ROI. I think that would be a good way to clear it up. So our proposition is not that we reduce your risk. We make you detect all those super hackers in real time. No, we don't do that. Our ROI promise is, we save you labor, right? So we make your workforce more efficient. And that applies to your cybersecurity workforce. When you think about vulnerability management as an example, which is one use case that is directly tied into OT asset management, because you can only do proper vulnerability management if you have exact, reliable asset information. And on the engineering side, it's something like obsolescence management, because our product shows the user exactly which products are outdated, for which they can no longer buy spare parts, they're end of life, etc. Right? They show the user that the firmware version that they're running in their controllers and in their VFDs, etc. That it's outdated, that there is a new firmware version out there. And I would say that doesn't get anybody excited, right? Like, the hackers, and you're protecting against the hackers. Yes, you're doing it. The blue team versus the red team, and everybody is excited. But when you think about something like firmware currency, etc., that doesn't get anybody excited. But it saves you labor, and so just to make that difference clear, this is what we focus on. This is our value proposition. We make the workforce more efficient in the use cases that have become so super important with that digital transition, because the digital complexity is exploding. But obviously, that didn't result in an increase in headcount. It's just to the opposite, right? So, I mean, the companies want to reduce the headcount, and we have the tool to make that happen.
Okay. I'd love to talk to you all day about this stuff, but we've kind of run into the end.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today.
My pleasure.
And today we've been speaking with Langner, who's the CEO of OT Base. Thank you for watching.